Hello, welcome to CLSB Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So I'm still in Texas, but I started a series the other day, and I wanted to kind of give it a more rounded, complete picture. So this will be my kind of the overview of how I think the Democratic DNC national plan should probably be kind of laid out. This is my take on it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be one of a 8-video series. So let's get started. So this is my national political campaign organizing plan overview. These are pretty much the main principles that I think the DNC should really look at and concentrate and create the pillars and the foundation of everything they're going to do moving forward. So let's get started. So the biggest complaint I hear about from voters is that they are constantly, they get bombarded for like 60 days and then nobody hears from them again until, the next political cycle. Then 60 days later, it ramps up and then all of a sudden you're hearing from them again. And where were you, when the market tanked or this, factory closed or whatever? Democrat Party needs to have continuous year-round organizing. I think that is kind of the principal nature that will follow all other things in this program. It's a year-round program, and it'll have all of these other really great impacts on the other things that I'm going to talk about, like community leadership empowerment. So established, it's a year-round program. And now you want to say, okay, how do we get into these communities? Well, you need to have people, we call them organizers. That's the budget line that those guys are on. You got to have them. It's really non-negotiable. If you want a long, future of success, then finding these key organizations in these communities is absolutely necessary. And what's great with the internet and Google, they are not hard to find. You just got to have the people trained and the organization geared up with a lot of overhead. But if you want to take America back, this is how you do it. You got to have leadership empowerment. So this next part is kind of my part. The integrated digital and field strategies. Okay, so some of you guys saw my video, I want to say a little over a month ago, maybe a little longer. I talked about VAN, Voter Action Network. Anyway, it's what the Democratic Party has been using since 05. I think beta 05. It was fully operational in 06. But I mean, even the 06 VAN versus what we have now, there was no minivan. It was all hard copy, right? There was no apps or digital or anything. And at that point, I'll be honest, given that Salesforce was still beta testing theirs, there was no nation builder, there wasn't a whole lot out there. Van was smart. Van was a good move 20 years ago. Honestly, I think Van peaked in 2012. I've been yelling at it since 06. But it doesn't do 1/10 the number of things that Nation Builder and some of the other programs that are out there actually do, and do very, very, very well. Van does not integrate social media field, and the app has no GPS. I don't know where my canvassers really are, except in the log history. So I mean, I've got that, but that's about it. So in order for me to audit in Van, I've got to go pull the literally the canvassing logs for every piece of turf, for every canvasser, every day. And when you have like 100 canvassers out, each canvasser takes about probably 6-7 minutes. If you never stop and you just keep chewing on it, like 7 minutes per canvasser. So if it's 100 canvassers, 700 minutes, it's going to take me, 10 hours to do 1 day's audit. That's just not even. But that is what I did in Wisconsin this last month because it was needed. I needed to know. And also I needed the data just so as we move forward, especially if we're going back into Wisconsin, I needed to know. And there was only one way to know, because that's what Van gives you. And it doesn't give it to you. You pry it from its cold, dead hands. It does not like giving you anything. Also, big problem I have with Van is attempts. Anyone watching this video who's ever used Van will know exactly what I'm talking about. Attempts is, for lack of a better word, a fluffer number. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's everyone behind that door. It's not who you talk to. It's not the contact. Contact number is what I want. I want to know who we talk to, when we talk to them, what do we talk to them about. Van doesn't do that. So, and honestly, it's the GPS, man. It's just, you get bad actors in any gig, and not all canvassers are created equal. So it's a real thing. And the DNC needs to step up. They're the top of the pyramid. Other campaigns will follow, and they've got to start okaying other vendors. And then figuring out ways to integrate them nationally. It's just got to happen. And welcome to the 21st century, you know. So the other problem we have with Van is that it tends to break. In fact, it would have broken last cycle in 26, and it's complete. So what we'll do is, so Van's like in these different silos, right? And so you can have like this Van that's an organization, like maybe a union or something, and then you have another organization, which is a vendor. Well, they have two different kinds of Van, and sometimes one will be down and the other will be up. So it's good to have your data linked in a couple different silos, because sometimes Van just stops working. And I hate to say this is even worse, because it really begins to change the way your brain works. The spinning wheel of death. Oh yeah. Stare at that a lot. Makes data directors work at 2 a.m, but don't worry, they have to be up at 8, because Van's faster at night. And that means they lack data infrastructure. I need fewer bottlenecks. I need better data response. I need real-time data response. And we have none of that right now. Okay. So remember we talked about organizers and how we need them to talk to different groups. Next step is the strategic coordination across allies. Now this gets really tricky because of FEC regulations. We've talked a little bit about that in my channel. There's 501c3 money, there's 501c4 money, and neither can they never touch. Apparently it'll be, it's Citizens United. So they kind of created other categories so that it used to all be kind of same, but now it's like, well, there's dark money and there's light money and blah, blah, blah. And they come from different sources and yada, yada. And you can use some for this and some for that. And you have lawyers to kind of piece through, and accountants to kind of figure out, is this really a thing? So it's hard. That part's hard, but it's not possible. And it can be done without breaking the law, which is very, very important. No, can't all be like Ted Cruz. We can't just be like, oh, what do you mean I raised too much from individuals? We actually have to abide by the rules, even though Republicans don't, because they're morons. Because they can't figure out the rules. It's kind of sad. All right. Remember at the very beginning of this thing, I talked about the year-round programming. Well, that means you have to have talent investment and retention. I'm going to go into that pretty deep on this series because it's insanely important. So what the Republicans do is that when it's non-political cycle, they shore up all their little evil minion and put them in law firms and media houses and basically get them jobs. And while they're still doing the exact same stuff they were doing for the party, but now they're just, they have some place to be. And that's what the Republicans do. And that's how they beat us. More often than not. Like, I'm good, but they've got 20 guys like me. I'm not 20 times good. You got to have competent talent that didn't go anywhere, that didn't go and get a different job because this one stopped paying for 9 months. Who would do a job, except for this idiot, that wouldn't pay you for 9 months? Nobody. No one's sane. Never said I was sane. And then, you need those milestones. You need a way to say, okay, what is that, okay, organizer, how do we make sure you're hitting your metric? So what we do is we say, okay, this many organizations. All right. We have build out a universe. You have to touch 5 every week. Maybe there's 35 in this universe, for this congressional seat or region of whatever, however we decide to break up the country. Like, let's say they're in North Atlanta. All right. Tons of nonprofits, tons of organizations for homelessness and veterans affairs and a million things right there in North Atlanta, where there's like 9 state house seats that DNC absolutely should go after. And well, they're all there. Those organizations exist. And so you've got to have some kind of accountability and in actions as far as field goes. How many doors are you hitting? We have those numbers. We know how many doors we need to hit. I'll be honest, I can get it down to the minute, but that's kind of ridiculous. You should be hitting a door every, when you're in the field, about every 2 to 3 minutes on average. That's including conversations with nice little ladies. You got to learn to get off the porch with those. They're very fascinating, but we definitely have to knock on more doors. So it's that kind of training stuff. So the actions are easy, actually. It's how many events, how many doors, how many trainings. I mean, it's actually a very, the action stuff's easier than the organizing stuff because it's hard. You can't, like, one organization contact is not equal to another organization contact if this one has 5 members and this one has 400 members. So you can see how that gets a little bit hardcore. At the end of the day, we want a national campaign plan, right? That operationalizes the core organizing principles, ensuring enduring, impactful, and strategic engagement aimed at both electoral victories and long-term Democratic Party health. This is what they need to do. And so this series of videos is going to outline that process. So I'm going to take each one of those topics and break it down into bigger pieces. So that's what this is going to be. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this series. I put a lot of work into it. And if you'd like to support the work on this channel, you can go to our PayPal, CLSP Politics. All right. I hope everyone has a great day. I'm going to post this immediately.